Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this meeting of the Licensing Committee at BCP Council. First item, can I call upon the officer to just run through the housekeeping measures, please?
Thank you. Please note that this meeting is being recorded by the Council for live broadcast and will be published on the Council website for a minimum of 6 months. The meeting may also be recorded or streamed for live or subsequent broadcast by members of the public, although ultimate discretion in this matter lies with the Chair in case of disruption. For those in the room, please note that if the fire alarm sounds, please exit the building by way of the nearest available signed fire exit route and make your way to the assembly point at the War Memorial in the gardens opposite the front of this building in Bourne Avenue. Finally, please can we ensure background noise is kept to a minimum and mobile phones and other devices are turned off or switched to silent for the duration of the meeting. For those in the room, this includes turning off microphones and turning down the volume completely on your laptops. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 1, apologies for absence.
Apologies for absence have been received from Councillors Matthews and Sidaway, and we have Councillor Filer and Councillor Farr joining us online this morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 2, substitute members.
None, sorry.
Thank you. Item 3, election of chair. At this point, I would like to hand over the meeting to the chair of the council, Councillor Leslie Dedman. Thank you, Councillor.
Right, thank you very much, Chairman. Right, this is the point where we have nominations for chairman. Nominations from the floor, please. Councillor Keddy.
I would like to nominate Councillor David Flagg.
And do you have a seconder? Councillor Hilliard, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I'm happy to second.
Any more nominations? Right, Councillor Flagg, you're accepting, I'm imagining.
Yes, I'll accept that.
I will hand back over to you, Councillor Flagg.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Dedman. Thank you for your time. Item 4, members, election of a vice chair. And I would like to propose from the chair, Councillor Keddy take up the position of vice chair. And I look for a seconder.
Happy to second, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Chaplin and all. Councillor Keddy, are you happy to take up the position?
I am very happy to take up the position. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members.
Item 5, declarations of interest. Members, are there any declarations of interest in respect of the items on this morning's agenda? No, thank you, members. Confirmation of minutes. To confirm the following sets of minutes as an accurate record. First of all, the Licensing Committee of the 12th of March 2026. Dananka?
Yep. So in those minutes, I think there was a question that Councillor Bartlett put to the committee about why consultation does not take place on the fees proposals being presented to council for approval. Is that correct? So following that meeting, I did have a discussion with our legal people and the chair and the vice chair, and we talked about the pros and cons of that. So the fees come to you for approval prior to public consultation, and to be honest, that is the reason for that is so that you have complete oversight of anything that's going out into the public domain. The risk of not doing that would be that I put out a public notice saying we're proposing to do these fees, and you suddenly get calls going, well, what's happening, and you have no insight or oversight of that issue. So although the advantage would be to maybe reduce some committee time, but the disadvantage would be it would reduce the oversight because you might not be aware. It might expose certainly myself to criticism if you are not happy with something that's then gone out into the echo prior to consultation with yourselves, and you can amend those proposals prior to consultation as well. So that would then force further consultation. So it's just to prevent those scenarios happening. So just to answer that, so we felt that it's probably best to keep it as is at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Dananka. Also, the licensing subcommittee minutes of the 3rd, 13th, 18th, 31st of March and the 15th, 20th, 21st and 29th of April 2026. Are members happy that I sign those as a true and correct record?
Agreed.
Thank you. Item 7, public issues. There are no formal public questions or statements or petitions received to date. Right, before I move on, members, I've had a request from Mr. King to have item 9 before item 8. Are members happy with that? Thank you very much. Matthew.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, members. This report asks members to approve an updated caravan site fee policy for BCP Council, which governs how fees are set for licensing and regulating park home and caravan sites. Policy is a legal requirement under the Caravan Sites and Control of Development Act 1960 and also reflects powers introduced by the Mobile Homes Act 2013, allowing councils to recover the full cost of licensable activities. Across the BCP area, there are 21 residential caravan sites varying in size, and the council carries out functions such as issuing licences, inspections, enforcement, and ensuring site managers are fit and proper persons. Key principle is that fees for licensable activities are set on a full recovery basis, and they must cover the council's costs but not generate profit. Fees are reviewed annually and adjusted to reflect any over or under recovery from previous years, ensuring transparency and compliance with the legislation. For 2026, the proposed changes include a 4% inflationary increase aligned with corporate assumptions, with updated fees taking effect from the 1st of October 2026. For example, a new site licence will increase from £662 to £688, and annual inspection fees will range from £200 to £398, depending on the size of the site. Sites are grouped into 5 bands based on the number of homes on site, ensuring fees proportionately reflect the scale and complexity of each site where possible. There is no requirement for public consultation, and a financial assessment confirms the fees are appropriate and compliant. However, site owners will be advised of any change in fees before the commencement date. The risks mainly relate to ensuring fees are set correctly to avoid legal challenge. Members today are asked to approve the updated policy and fees and agree to delegate future annual fee adjustments to the Director of Housing and Public Protection, allowing more efficient updates going forward. Overall, the policy ensures the council can sustainably regulate park home sites, maintain standards and recover costs in a fair and transparent way. I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Matthew. Do members have any questions for Matthew at all regarding this item? Councillor Hilliard.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks for the report, and it was interesting to see. It was just really, so in my ward I've got a park home, but I've also got a Holborn holiday camp, where obviously there are some units which I believe they can stay all year round. So first question is, does that cover it? And then the other wider question is, does this policy, it's talking about park homes, but does a lot of the things about controls and safety and whatever relate to holiday, like caravan parks? So who regulates that caravan parks if it's not related to this? Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor. So it's a planning issue as to how long people can stay on site. And with holiday parks, there's limitations on the amount of time that people can spend there in any one year. The regulations around that do fall within our unit, but they're not licensed. So these are 21 like permanent sites, if you like, through BCP Council.
So again, that thing about caravan parks, so you say someone from the council does do safety checks on those?
They're not proactive safety checks. It would be in response to any concerns that are raised. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Williams, please.
Thank you, Chair, and congratulations on being re-elected. I've got a caravan park in my ward, as you know. The owners are very careful in putting charges back to their residents. Do you consult the residents before these fees? That's part of the question. The other part is to what extent are they allowed to charge the park home residents? Are they allowed to just charge the additional fee, or can they go upwards from there?
Thank you, Councillor Williams. So in response to the first part, we don't consult residents, but we try and keep our fees proportionate and are very careful with just charging for the work that's done. Any enforcement activity is a separate route for charging. So this is purely for the administration of the licenses. In terms of what the owners can charge residents, there's little regulation around that. It is clear in the guidance and the legislation that annual site fees can be passed on to residents. Obviously, it's a small increase this year. We obviously try to work as efficiently as possible to make sure those fees do not change considerably. But obviously, if something happens at one particular park, that creates quite a overspend for the previous year, that would have to be reflected in years going forward. Yeah.
Thank you. Is it Mrs. Pankhurst?
Councillor Pankhurst now, yes, thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you. So there's a cost in here for the fit and proper person. Is that an annual charge, and what does that include? What does that money get you, if that makes sense?
So the money doesn't really get us anything. It's obviously for the work we do, but generally they are 5 years. But if there's a reason to make that less time, for instance, the management's not quite up together, we can limit that to whatever time we deem is reasonable. We can also apply conditions to those fit and proper persons. Again, if there's history of non-compliance, you can add conditions to that. But that's all reflected in the charges to date. But I think this year is the year that many of those 5-year fit and proper persons expire from the first time they were done in 2021. So we're trying to align the policy up with that, obviously. And yeah, to date, we've sort of covered the costs of all activities, absorbing some training costs because of staff turnover. But yeah, it covers basically sort of the work we do for that. We carry out DBS checks, or they present their DBS checks, and there's a lot of administration behind it. But obviously, if we've got a history of non-compliance, we have to be very transparent with, are we refusing this application, or are we adding conditions? And there is a lot of paperwork with that, which is sort of takes up the time, really. Yeah. Thanks.
If there are no further questions, we'll move to the debate. I'm happy to propose from the chair as set out. Members consider the proposed policy and fees and agree the proposed policy and fees as stated, and agree that annual fee amendments are delegated to the Director of Housing and Public Protection in the future. I'm looking for a seconder, please. Thank you, Councillor Bartlett. Yes, of course.
Yeah, just looking at the fees, they do seem a very, very reasonable increase, I have to say. So it's clear that nobody's trying to make any money here, and just so I think, you know, it's implicit in the figures that the council is trying to be reasonable here. So I think I just wanted to make that point.
Thank you, Councillor Bartlett. Any further debate? Councillor Williams.
I have a small reservation. If it didn't go to officers, would it keep coming back to us? Is my question. And if it does keep coming back to us, I just feel that we're keeping control of it and not relinquishing it. But I'm easy.
Thank you, Councillor Williams. I think I might ask Mrs. Cole if she's able to help on this one, please.
Yes, it's a decision for you whether to give that control
to the officers, the director of, and you just have to decide, you know, what Mr. King has said to you, to just for a more efficient way to do it, really. I think generally going in the past, it is something, you know, in all three local authorities that may have been done, you know, just by officers as and when it was needed. But yes, I mean, it is a matter for you to decide.
I can just come back one more time. In the past in IFOD, we've had issues, and I've always felt that because we've had issues, it would be good to be able to come back to a committee to discuss those issues, a bit like other licensed premises. This is just taking that away from us. That's my only worry. There aren't any, as far as I'm aware, any issues that I would be concerned about, but that doesn't mean they won't happen in the near future.
I mean, all costs have to be done on a cost recovery basis. So, I mean, they're not allowed to charge any more than it costs them. I mean, they're just not. So that's the way that all the fees are worked out.
Excuse me. Okay, thank you.
If there were to be an issue, what would be the procedure or the mechanism for it coming back to the committee?
I don't know whether that's a question for democratic, whether, sorry to put you on the spot.
If there was an issue, I suppose it depends on what the type of issue is. I mean, if the fees change, I mean, anybody could challenge that change. I mean, any resident, caravan park owner, they could challenge that. I mean, you can challenge that just, you know, back as a complaint to the council. It could be looked at again. I mean, if you wanted to go further, they could go through the court if they felt it was an unreasonable charge. But I mean, there's obviously plenty of steps before you get that way.
Yeah, I don't think we'll be doing that, but thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Williams. Any further debate at all? No, it has been proposed and seconded. I'd like to go to the vote. All those in favour, please show.
Thank you.
Thank you. All those against? Thank you, Councillor Williams. And abstentions? Thank you, members. We move on then to item 8 on this morning's agenda, the animal licence review. Louise, please.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair, members. This report sets out a review of the Council's animal licensing fees and the need to ensure that those fees continue to reflect the actual cost of delivering our licensing functions, which is set out on a cost recovery basis. The cost of delivering licensing fees has increased. This reflects a combination of factors, including inflation and staffing costs. The fee pays for this regulatory work, which includes inspections and ongoing compliance. The proposed uplift is therefore intended to bring fees back in line with the cost of delivering the service. Animal licensing fees reflect the full range of regulatory activity required under the legislation, including the application, processing, inspections and ongoing compliance. As well as the uplift to cover the costs, the report asks members to consider delegating authority for future fee increases to the Director of Housing and Public Protection. This is intended to ensure that the fees can be kept under regular review and adjusted in a timely way, rather than relying solely on committee cycles. Any future changes would continue to be made in line with legal requirements and the appropriate transparency. So in summary, this report is about ensuring that Council maintains the financially and sustainable service, and it asks members to approve the proposed uplift in the licensing fees and agree to delegate authority for future fee increases, it's difficult to say, to the Director of Housing and Public Protection.
Thank you, Louise. Members, do we have any questions for the officer at all regarding this agenda item? Councillor Hilliard.
Thank you. Thank you for the report. Again, an interesting one, a new area. Haven't really seen much about. Two questions. So, first of all, if you can just give a brief summary of what the star rating, because I was looking at it mentions food hygiene, but what it relates to with animals. And then the other aspect is, so this covers permanent sites, seems to in the BCP area. But what inspections and who's remit, and if it is BCP again, if it's like a circus comes to town or something like that comes to town. Thank you.
Okay, so there is a star rating. So based on the inspection that we carry out, the business is given a star rating, and it's how far that business goes with its compliance, and basically giving the 1, 2, or 3 stars. The second part of it is the businesses are, the majority of them are smaller businesses, but we've got pet shops, catteries, animal boarding establishments. So it's those smaller style businesses that we would regulate, rather than a business something coming to town with an animal activity. We wouldn't regulate that. We just regulate businesses in our area, but lots of smaller businesses.
Thank you. But just for interest, so who does regulate the bigger businesses, travelling businesses? Someone nationally, is it?
Well, I'm not too sure about those very large circus events, but we have business in our area that will show animals for exhibition, for example, and we would regulate those under this legislation. So.
Thank you. Any further questions? Members, right, we're asked to consider the points within the recommendation. A, agree the proposed fees as stated, and or agree the amended fees following consideration, and or maintain the current fee structure. And members are also asked to delegate the authority to the Director of Housing and Public Protection to set and amend licensing fees going forward. Again, I'm happy to propose from the chair that we agree the proposed fees and maintain and issue or move forward the decision for future licence fee setting to the Director of Housing. And I seek a seconder. Thank you, members. Members, any further debate with regards to this item? Councillor Farquhar.
Thank you, Chair, and congratulations. My point echoes Councillor Lawrence's as regards when problems occur, how the enforcement happens, and how members of the public or councillors in this particular case raise their concerns about licensingable activities. In particular, I think the one that's relevant here is the keeping or training of animals for exhibition. You may recall that there was some degree of public interest in the handling of livestock at an event in Southbourne Green regarding goats. So there was quite a concern as regards the animal husbandry and the welfare of those particular animals, including calls for the RSPCA to ensure the welfare of those animals. So my question is that if we hand it over, then what mechanism, again similar to Councillor Lawrence's, do we have to have incidents which may, harm animals in some way, shape or form, to come before licensing to consider if that license should continue? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Farquhar. Louise, are you able to assist us on this?
Yeah,
item?
I
Thank
can
you.
assist you. So if we have incident, complaint or a concern about one of these licensed businesses, anyone can raise that concern with us and we will investigate it within our powers under the legislation. We work very closely with the RSPCA as well, so matters relating to the RSPCA, so animal cruelty, would be referred to them. we would deal with the animal welfare standards that are set out in the DEFRA guidelines in relation to each animal activity and investigate it. And the reference that you made to that recent event was investigated. And you will see that from the press report that that business did not, that is not renewed, their licence wasn't renewed.
Thank you, Louise.
Thank you, Chair. I felt I needed to raise that as a matter of public interest. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Farquhar. Any further debate at all, members? No, in which case then I'll move to the vote. All those in favour, please show. It's unanimous. Thank you, members. Right, moving on then to item 10, the forward plan. Lenanka, would you be kind enough to take us through the plan, please?
Thank you. There's not a lot on it, to be honest with you. We've got one item for later on this year. It's scheduled for September, and it's to consider the draft pleasure boat policy following public consultation. What I will say is we have the consultation, we've had quite a lot of back, there's quite a lot of comments in that. I'm working my way through it. So I will caveat the September to say, if I need to, we might be able to have to push it back to December. But the season ends, we tend to have two lots of licensing windows, March ready for the summer and then September. So even if we get it in September, it wouldn't go live, as it were. So there'd be no detriment to the license holders. So hopefully it'll be okay. If it goes to December, we would then look at bringing it in probably ready for the beginning of March. And that gives us a couple of months to get sort of some promotion out there and make people aware of what we're bringing in. But yeah, so I just wanted that caveat. I'd rather get it right than sort of try to rush it through, panicking, getting it in September, and then I don't get it. But fingers crossed I will.
Thank you, Nananka. Members have any questions at all? Councillor Kelly.
I do have a question. It's more of a broad question, not necessarily related, but could be related to the forward plan. I was listening to Radio 4 yesterday, and there's discussion about new legislation coming in to target rogue barbershops, vape shops, mini-marts and American hard candy style shops on the high street. There was talk of taking a multi-agency approach with the National Crime Agency and potentially local authority licensing. I know that we've had a briefing on the vape shop legislation, vape and tobacco legislation coming in October. I'm wondering if the landscape is continuing to change and evolve. I don't expect you to have firm answers to this, by the way. It's more just kind of horizon scanning impacts and whether we may need some training in the future on this.
Yeah, I think a lot of those, what's in the papers at the moment is about, multi-agency tackling criminality relating to those venues. Vape shops are not currently licensed. We don't know when that may come in. But sort of the tobacco, the hard candy, barbers, they're not licensed under our regime. So it wouldn't be an issue for licensing committee, but certainly our trading standards do already get involved in a lot of multi-agency work in relation to those type of businesses, working with the police and immigration officers. So we are on it from other teams. I'm not too sure what that impact would be for licensing, but I am keeping my finger on the pulse, as it were, and certainly if there is any proposals for any regulation that would link to us, then we would look at that for members. But at the moment, we're not aware of any other form of licensing coming in other than the proposals for tobacco and vape shops, but they still have not come in even under the new legislation. So we just don't have any sort of enactment date yet, but I'm sure there'll be lots of training when that is coming in. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nananka. Any further questions for the officer at all? No, thank you. Right. before I close the meeting, firstly, I'd just like to say thank you for your support this morning for myself. I would like to thank all members for their assistance and flexibility in attending the additional meetings held in March and April. As members are aware, licensing applications can be submitted at any time, and the council is required to comply with the statutory timescales for hearings. These timescales can be particularly challenging in relation to temporary event notices, where hearings may need to be convened at very short notice. As we approach the summer months, we could likely see an increase in the licensing workload, so I thank you all in advance for making yourselves available for additional meetings when needed. And as you all know, it's a reactive committee, so thank you very much for that. And on that point, with there no further business to be conducted, I close the meeting.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
I'm just going to end the live stream.